Good morning, good evening, good day, good night, wherever you are in the world. I am Tim, back once again for the Speed Force Racing GP2 Series Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. But today we got a new face in the commentary booth joining me, and it is his debut commentary. Timo, how are you doing?
Hello. Yeah, I'm good.
So, for those of you who don't know, Timo is a GP1 driver. Obviously, his GP1 season has ended, and another league that he races on Wednesdays has already ended as well. So, he reached out to the comms team here, and he's like, hey, we want to try, or he said that he wants to try commentary, and then we said, hey, you know what? We need someone to fill in on this day, this day, this day. And it just so happened that Mansell wanted to race today. So you see Mansell's name up there on the leaderboard. So he's racing today. Timo's filling in for him. And how do you feel about this view up here so far?
Yeah, it's a lot different because I normally just drive myself. But yeah, hopefully it'll be alright.
So watching Andrew K. Ray coming out on track now. He's the first driver to blink and start his flying lap. Let's get all of our data up here to get our track map, our lap data, and of course our tire choices. Now, Timo, you are not just the driver perspective, but you are a GP1 driver. So that's the fastest league, or the fastest division in the Speed Force Racing League. So tell us how you would navigate around the Saudi Arabian circuit and what's your preferred strategy?
Yeah, so I mean the racing is of course pretty straightforward. Just pushing to the absolute limit, going from wide line to wide line and wall to wall. But for strategy, I believe medium soft is a little bit quicker than soft medium. But you'd have to get lucky with safety cars, of course, which are plenty of around here. And I mean weather isn't really a factor here. So just expecting a dry race, dry quali.
So Andrew Carey about to start his first flying lap. And, you know, you said it, Timo, a dry race and a dry quali, which obviously, as far as we can tell, it is going to be a dry qualifying and likely a dry race because it is Saudi Arabia. But how crucial is that? And do you think that most of the drivers are really banking on that? Because I can't imagine driving this track in the wet because it's difficult enough driving it in the dry. This track, you know, being new and, you know, not really being as familiar with it as other courses on the schedule that have been there for a bit longer, it's really hard to wrap your head around it.
Yeah, I mean actually we had a wet qualifying in GP1 around here. So I know what it's like to drive around in the wet. It's actually pretty fun. But yeah, it's so unlikely still to happen. I can't see this race being wet.
Well, I'd say that the drivers hope that it's going to stay dry as we watch Andrew, and so far, so good, using up every bit of racetrack allowed to him, and maybe then some, riding right on those curbs. But of course, you are allowed to do that. It's those little sweeping corners like that, those little S chicanes that you got to really be careful with, because you saw him go off the track. He did not invalidate, but it looked as though he was flirting with an invalidation. Obviously, you have to keep it within the white lines. The track limits are already set. Somehow that was not an invalidation. That to me looked like a corner cut. But you know, that's just kind of what you get around here, and that's what you get around a lot of the tracks is, you know, one corner is going to be a little bit different than the other. So what's a corner cut at one may not be at the other. And I think that what it boils down to is just not having that human element of having live stewards to make those calls.
Yeah, I know this track at some places has a weird track limits. Because at some places you can actually go to the white line after the curb, and on some corners they just decided to not put any track limits, like the first left hander in the SS sector 1. You can just completely cut the inside there without getting any validation.
So Andrew,
Yeah.
a 127.499, the fastest lap on the board so far. A 127.7 though, set by Son of Fubar. So that's the second place driver. But now Hazara going quickest, a 127.129. The lap times are starting to roll in. And Timo, what lap times do you expect to see at the end of this qualifying?
Yeah, just mid to high 26s. I was at first I was expecting like high 26, low 27, but they've already reached low 27, so I feel like I need to go down a little bit to make a better guess. But we'll see.
So here is X Gamer in the Haas today. So X Gamer, a few wins on the season, but has not been able to challenge for the title as maybe he had hoped for earlier on this season. But nonetheless, we enjoy having him all the same as he goes to P5, a 129.055. And Alfa Romeo just now coming out of the pits behind him. That might be Train Game Wow, and it's actually not Train Game Wow. It's his teammate of Bossy Gaming. Train Game Wow looks like he might be getting close to starting his first flying lap. But let's update you on the point standings while we're watching him. He has got a 100-point lead over his closest competitor of Odd Ivan. And Odd Ivan is not in the race today. So mathematically speaking, I believe that as long as Train Game Wow finishes the race today in points, he will clinch the championship because Odd Ivan is not here to score any points. And at the moment, we have approximately 150, give or take, points available. Like I said, I can't do the math off the top of my head, but Train Game Wow has got 247 to Odd Ivan's 147. Now, X Gamer, he is in third with 146 points. So, if he scores points today, he will be able to overtake Odd Ivan in the championship standings and fight for P2. However, it's looking like Train Game Wow has more or less solidified the championship, even if it's not mathematically clinched at the moment. Going down to the constructors, Alfa Romeo have 284 points to McLaren's 260, and then 232 for Alpine in third. So still some points up for grabs in the constructors, but it's safe to say that Train Game Wow has more or less walked away with this championship.
I'm pretty sure a Train Game already has won this championship because there are only 3 races left, including this one. That's only 78 points. But a gap of 100 points should be enough to clinch the championship already. But yeah, the constructors still looking tight as well. The battle of P2, only what is it, 4 points between second to fourth. It's exciting to watch too.
So watching Bossy Gaming now in the Alfa Romeo, he's on a flying lap. Trying to do that reverse strategy and go on the medium compound tire. I think X Gamer actually tried that as well, at least for his first flying lap. Not sure if he's going to be switching over to the softs and running a lap later on. In fact, here are the tires that people have set their fastest lap on. And it actually does look like that only Train Game Wow has set his fastest lap on the medium compound tire thus far. Bossy Gaming about to join that little club as well. He's in the third and final sector now. Very long straightaway. Oh, go ahead, Timo.
I've seen Bossy Gaming already at the one's first attempt on the soft, so it's interesting to see if he's still confident in his car on this track. P11, not too bad. However, it's already 3 tenths off the next car, so he's gonna have to improve on his left arm.
So taking a look at Mansell now in the Williams. He validated his first flying lap. He had to pull into the pits, and now he's back out there trying to set a good qualifying time. And it seemed like Mansell just really wanted to race today. And we wish him the best of luck because obviously we know that he did join this series initially as a GP2 driver, and then he decided to step away. It just felt like he wasn't getting the results that he needed, or whatever other reasons that there may have been. But he decided to join me in the commentary booth about a quarter to halfway, somewhere around there in the season. And for the most part, it's been Mansell and I every single week, save for 1 or 2 weeks where I've missed or Mansell has missed, and sometimes we've had to have somebody fill in, or it's just been one of us doing it solo. But it's been a pretty fun season so far, and I'm glad that we get to see him race at least one more time this season, just so that maybe he can have a good finish and then return to the comms booth with a little bit more input.
Car point P7, 4 tenths up on his time, which is gonna put him around P5 if he can keep this up. So it should be a good jump for him, but it's still 1 corner to go. Lots can go wrong here, as we've seen Max Verstappen crash in 2021 IRL, but looks good. Now he comes across the line, and I'm guessing he's going P5 still. P6.
Yeah, Mauser shot up to P3, and now Mauser's actually spun. So Mauser's going to have to get that car turned back around and find his way back to the pits. But Tim, I talk about drivers and drivers having input. And I will probably be asking you this throughout the entirety of the race about your input of different things that are happening or different strategies that these drivers are taking. But let's say that you are starting about 5th place where Mansell is right now. You know, how much are you worried about track position here at Saudi Arabia? Because it does not really look like this is a track with a lot of overtaking opportunity. So in theory, that track position is going to be very crucial. So even if you're in about 5th place, if you can go out for the pole and actually get a good start, hold on to it, and defend, then theoretically you should be in good hands, correct?
Not really, no. A lot of DRS zones here, a lot of slipstreaming, so it's very easy to just stick behind someone. So as long as you just stay within the DRS train of P1, we still got the opportunity to win, and especially on the last lap, it can be really intense into the final corner. So yeah, it's an interesting track for league racing for sure. I've already haven't won, that I've just gone from like 5th to 1st in the last lap. Yeah, it's definitely not over till it's really over.
So looking at Andrew again in the Alpine. Purple in the 2nd sector. In the 3rd and final sector now. He was the first driver to set a timed lap. Now he's dropped down to 3rd with a 1:27.499. Of course, that is still his first timed lap that he has up there on the board. So he's going to be looking to improve. And surely he will, due to the fact that the track's already rubbered in. It's a little bit hotter, so there's a bit more grip out there for him to play around with. But it's really looking like most of our drivers are in fact, all of our drivers are selecting the soft compound tire. So some of them have tried to do the reverse strategy, and it's just not worked. They have not had the lap times they've needed with the medium compound. Now, obviously, it's standard to qualify on the soft compound tire, but would you ever gamble, Timo, around here and try to go for that reverse strategy, or is that just something that you're going to reserve for if you start outside the top 10?
Yeah, well, what I normally do is I just go out on my first run for mediums, just see what I can do on the medium tires. If the lap is good enough, Jesus Christ, which sometimes is the case, I'll just wait for the last run and go out on softs. If I can qualify in a good position on mediums, I'll definitely take it. But most of the time the mediums are a couple of tenths slower, so you'll have to go out on softs again.
And that's what we see a lot of times, is drivers making that effort, but ultimately having to fall back on those soft compound tires. But they do say that P11 is strategic pole. So even if, to no avail, you fail to get into the top 10, you start about P11, P12, you have free tire choice, and you're right outside of the points. So that is prime position, prime striking position. And like I said, strategic pole, you can use that reverse strategy, in theory, to your advantage. But it is very difficult sometimes to keep the pace with all those soft tires, because like you rightly said, Timo, is the mediums are usually a couple of tenths or so slower than the softs, but obviously the advantage is you get to extend that first stint out a little bit more, which under green flag conditions really seem to help. Safety cars, well, that can go either way.
Yeah, meanwhile Tom GoProf has only set 1 lap time, which is 10 seconds off the pace. But now on the 2nd lap, just going purple in sector 2 now, the minimap is showing. It's going to be interesting to see what he can do. I'm sure he'll be able to jump up to a decent position, since he's P4 in the championship, so he's got some pace. Now through the final corner, close to the wall, just full throttle now, enabling DRS. And it's P3. Pretty good improvements for him.
Very good lap there for Tom GoProf. In fact, just a few thousandths of a second off of, or faster than his teammate of Son of Fubar. So Tom GoProf, Son of Fubar, 3rd and 4th, respectively, on the board so far, with just over 3 minutes remaining in the qualifying session. Hazara still holds on to that top spot with a 1:27.129. Andrew 2/10 behind in second, and then the two McLarens third and fourth with Mauser in fifth. That's your top 5 as we wind down to the final minutes of qualifying.
Yeah, it is kind of a dull point in qualifying. Just everyone either finishing their lap or just starting the out lap. So not a lot going on. Meanwhile, Menzo is on the lap. And Cartboy, I'm pretty sure those are the only 2. Yeah, maybe another one, but yeah, it's at this point of qualifying, everyone is either just in the pits or just starting the out laps. Yeah, we'll just have to wait a little bit.
So at the moment we're watching Cartboy in the Ferrari, see what he's going to be able to do. This likely will be his final flying lap unless he just wants to stay out there and go for one more after completing this one. But that puts another lap on your tires, and you can't really bank on that. But Timo, how long do you expect the soft tires to last around here under green flag conditions?
I honestly don't know. Like I'm pretty sure they last around like 10 or 15 laps if you really stretch it. Yeah, I haven't done this track in a long time. I don't know that type of info on the top of my head. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm pretty sure it's like lap 10 and a couple of laps after.
And Cartboy slower that time, unfortunately, so he will be doing no better than P7, it looks like, unless he stays out for one more lap. Mansell, he just crossed the line. Looks like he did not improve as well, unfortunately. A lot of drivers coming out for their outlap now, so we're going to start to see a little bit of shuffling around on the leaderboard. Hazara might be in trouble. He is still in the pits. If he wants to go out for one final lap, he might want to start thinking about going out now, and even then he might not have enough time.
Yeah, if you go out the pits now, you're not gonna have enough time to start a lap, since a flying lap already is longer than the timer left. So everyone that's out on track right now will get another lap in. Yeah, Azar and Tom go Prof are sadly not gonna be able to set another lap time.
So watching Andrew, currently P2 with a 127.346. Purple in the first sector though.
Just barely up on his time, only 400s. But 400s could be enough to just get him that extra spot, which might be crucial at the start.
Well, Hazara has retired from the qualifying session, so that obviously answers our question. He has decided that his day is done, but with just 30 seconds remaining, there was no point in him going back out on the racetrack as Andrew invalidated his lap. It will not be a fast lap. Andrew will do no better than P2 in the qualifying session. Let's go down and take a look at Mauser. Currently P5, looking like he's 0.05 of a second slower in his first sector. In the second sector now, who else is on a lap? Well, you know what? Pretty much everybody is on a lap right now. Let's take a look at King David. He's in the Williams. He's invalidated his lap. Let's go down to X Gamer. Wondering why he's actually so far down. X Gamer third in points. Very, very likely that he could be second in points after today. But to do that, he is going to have to finish in the points and score 2 points. So that should be a 9th place finish.
Andrew actually got another lap in. He was just in time to start another lap, so he will have another shot at pole. It's going to be interesting to see what he's doing in sector 1. He's only 9 thousandths up on his own time right now, so not a big improvement so far. Maybe he can still gain some time in the last 2 sectors.
Yeah, next gamer goes to P6, a 127.685 for him. Andrew, we're watching him on his final flying lap. Like, oh no, he's already invalidated though, so Andrew will not do any better than P2.
Mauser crashed on the final lap. Son of Fuel are now going through the final corner. He said to me before the race that he was gonna win this race. It's gonna be interesting to see where he starts from, if that is the case. Let's see now, across the line he goes, P2, improvement of 1.5 tenths.
Well, P2 is a pretty good position to be starting from. Looking like it's going to give him one of the best chances to win the race today. Hazara, Son of Fubar, and Andrew looking like it's going to be your top 3 at the moment, and it looks like we only have one more driver left to set a lap, and he is pulled into the pits. That was Smithy, so what you see is what you get. Hazara walks away with the pole, a 10th quicker than Son of Fubar in second.
Yeah, it's quite a close qualifying. Only what is it, half a second in between P1 and P7. So I feel like it's gonna be another big DRS train like we're used to on Jeddah. So yeah, it's the race isn't gonna be decided before they actually cross the line.
So the entire top 10 within a second of each other, and as you rightly said, about half a second between first and seventh. So very close times here. Your official starting lineup for the Speed Force Racing GP2 Series, Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Hazara in first, Son of Fubar in second. Third is Andrew, then Tom Goproff in fourth, MDJ in fifth, Mauser in sixth. Seventh is X Gamer Train Game Wow in eighth. Ninth is Cartboy Mansell in 10th. 11th is Langfell Martin in 12th. King David in 13th. Smithy in 14th. Bossy Gaming in 15th. Ali Ali in 16th. Venom Amarillo in 17th. And then Senna Martins in the 18th position. Those two drivers at the bottom not setting a time, so they will be starting from the back. A tall ladder to climb around the Saudi Arabian circuit, but we are just about ready to get underway. And this is something that we do each and every week with our chat and, of course, with each other as well. Timo, it is time for our top three predictions in any order.
I'll just I'll take what Son of Fubar said to me that he's gonna win. So Son of Fubar P1, then Hazaru P2. I feel like he's gonna have some good pace, and I'll just Train Game Wow third then, I suppose.
I am going to go in any order: Hazara, Son of Fubar, and Mansell.
Okay.
On his comeback race, I'm banking on him to be getting a podium.
Yeah, I believe he switched from pad to wheel a couple of months ago. Like I actually drove a couple of times against him in GP1. Very quick on the pad, but obviously lost quite a bit of pace on the switch to his wheel. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how he got used to it the last couple of months, and if he can fight his way up to the front.
Well, you see, if he doesn't get a podium, then when he joins me back in the comms booth, then I can just give him grief about it.
Yeah, it's always nice to bully people from their results, especially if they're okay with it. Otherwise,
no,
it's not fine.
it's all in jest. It's all in jest. Me and Mansell are always kind of giving each other a little bit of grief here and there.
Yeah, just a little bit of banter between the two is always nice, especially if you can both laugh about it. Yeah, interesting, because I don't know what exactly happened, but Son of Fubar dropped to P4 on the formation lap, even though he should have started P2. He is looking like he's overtaking Andrew, which I don't think it's a big issue, but yeah, weird to see.
Normally on the formation lap, it doesn't seem like there are a lot of issues and a lot of things that you have to worry about, except for, obviously colliding with other cars, and then you will be transported back to the grid for your start, which is a nice little benefit that we have in sim racing that you obviously don't have in real life, where if you get a little bit of damage on the formation lap, you can just be teleported back to your grid spot and be okay. Now, if you get damage in the race, I'm sorry, you're going to just have to pit and get that fixed.
Yeah, wing damage around here isn't ideal. I experienced that in GP2 last season. Got damage lap 1, I believe. Then had to pit. And sadly, no safeguard to help me out. So had to fight my way back on raw pace, which I'm pretty sure I ended up scraping a couple of points in the end, which I'm happy about.
Well, the first two corners around here are incredibly tight, and then the rest of the track is filled with sweeping corners and long straightaways, and then braking points where you got to slow way down. It just seems like this track is destined to have some damaged cars, some broken wings, some hurt feelings, some crying drivers, some mad drivers. Just whatever you're gonna get, you're gonna probably be getting it here.
Yeah, just last couple of cars now lining up on the grid, so we're about to start this race. It's exciting.
18
Awesome.
drivers going to be taking the green here for 25 laps around the Saudi Arabian circuit, round 19 of the GP2 series. Speed Force Racing, and you hear those HG pedal feet, you hear those engines revving, the drivers watching the lights. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights in the air. No red lights. We are green for the Speed Force Racing GP2 Series Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Hazara already getting out to a fantastic lead, but just behind him there is a gaggle for position from 4th on back, side by side with the AlphaTauri and the Haas car. MDJ in 4th, Mauser in 5th in the Haas, and they are trying to settle that out. Finally they do and fall back in line, but who was that just went off? Andrew went way off the track, and he is dropping back. He has spun. So Andrew, he started in 2nd, no longer going to be there. Actually, it was P3 for Andrew that he started. Now it's P18. Son of Fubar in 2nd, MDJ in 3rd, 4th is Mauser, Tom Gocroft in 5th. Hazara still leads 0.8 of a second already between him and 2nd place, and 1.2 seconds between 2nd and 3rd. You're watching the battle for 3rd right now between MDJ and Mauser. Mauser trying to find his way through. He needs to get within a second of Son of Fubar to take advantage of the DRS when it's activated in a few laps time, and he knows that, but MDJ is in his way, and Mauser just can't seem to get the pace to challenge for the 3rd spot.
Yeah, I saw some front wing flying in turn 1, so someone at the back has lost part of his front wing. I'm not sure who it exactly is. Might be one of the people at the back falling back a lot. Interesting to see that only 3 people outside the top 10 opted to start on a soft tire, which shows the medium soft strategy is gonna be quicker if there's not gonna be a single safety car, which I doubt is gonna happen, because, you know, as you said before the race started, you're gonna have someone crashing here, which probably will bring out a safety car. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see which strategy gets lucky with the safety cars, and if they can jump all the other runners with their strategy.
So Mansell moving up a couple of positions at the start, up to P8. King David and Smithy were swapping positions around for a minute before finally settling where they are on track right now. No change in your top 3 with Hazara, Son of Fubar, and MDJ still 1, 2, and 3. There is Son of Fubar, MDJ getting a little bit closer to him now, though. But while all this is occurring, Hazara, definitely the class of the field, 1.4 seconds ahead of Son of Fubar at the moment. Now, you were saying that Son of Fubar is very confident going into this race, feels that he could be the winner at the end of the day. He's going to have to overcome a bit of a gap, but we've seen it happen many of times before, and not to mention that we still got plenty of racing left to go. Just because Hazara is strong early on doesn't mean that he's going to hold on to that top spot.
Yeah, also a point to watch out for is penalties. It's really easy to just go over that white line and get a warning. Pre-warning, of course, is a penalty. So yeah, penalties are gonna be a factor in this race, definitely. So I've already seen Lenk Fjeld get a penalty in the first sector of the race, which definitely is not ideal, especially if there's a late safety car. It can really lose you a lot of positions.
So DRS is active now, and Hazara, just to top it all off, ran the fastest lap that time. Watching MDJ and Son of Fubar, once they get to the next DRS zone, we'll see if MDJ is able to make an overtake on Son of Fubar. Looks like that's going to be easier said than done, as Son of Fubar in this first sector is so very strong compared to MDJ. He put about 0.3 of a second between those two drivers. But now going down the straightaway, MDJ, he might have an opportunity to close the gap here just a little bit, and he did, but not enough to look for a position.
Yeah, MDJ now comfortably within DRS. I don't see Son of Fubar really pulling away from him now. So if I was both of them, I would just try and work together and try and minimize the damage done by Hazara. He's already 2.2 seconds ahead now, so it's gonna be hard to catch him. I feel like they'll need a safety car in order to still win this race already. And yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. It's like MDJ isn't gonna drop out of DRS, but Mauser is gonna have a difficult time, because of course MDJ and Mauser both have DRS, so it's not gonna be an advantage for Mauser.
Well, MDJ just got by Son of Fubar for the second position. Looked almost like Son of Fubar more or less let him by, maybe even setting him up for another overtake going into turn number 1. There you see Son of Fubar go back by him on the outside line. So Son of Fubar, perhaps a 2,000 IQ play there from the McLaren driver to get back into the second spot. 2.1 seconds separating him and Hazara now. But, you know, you are completely right about, you know, Timo, about what you were saying earlier about how you just have to really work together with your competitor. And it's easy for us to say that up here in the booth because what our view and what we're seeing is a lot different from what the driver is seeing. But I think you and I both know that it's very hard to get into a driver's mindset in the heat of the moment, that they just need to be a little bit more patient and relax and let the car come to them.
Yeah, it's always really frustrating if you're wanting to work together with someone and they just keep overtaking you, and you're like, why do you overtake? Why are you overtaking me? It's just costing us both time. But that's part of it. Like, no one is. Everyone can just overtake each other if they want to, and it's part of the game. And I've noticed Hazara getting a penalty already, which is very early on already, so he might get a couple of more penalties throughout the race, which might be crucial.
Tom Goprock on the outside of Mauser for P4 and got the job done very cleanly. So Tom Goproff in 4th, his teammate Son of Fubar in P2. It's a McLaren 2-4 at the moment with MDJ in the middle and Mauser on the outside looking in. X-Gamer, of course, in that other Haas in P6. But now look at MDJ going past Son of Fubar for the second position into turn number 1. Got the job done cleanly. Now, which of these drivers is going to be the one to chase down Hazara? Because if you notice, the lap ago, he picked up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, but they are already 2.5 seconds behind him. If Hazara walks away with this, puts 6-8 seconds between him and second place, then that 3-second time penalty isn't going to mean anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's very early on already to get a penalty after only 4 laps. So I doubt he'll stay with this 3 seconds. If you do end up cutting a couple of corners, you're bound to basically get a penalty before the end. I've already noticed the bottom 4 already with front wing damage. So they'll certainly have to get a safety car if they do want to get back into this race.
So Hazara definitely been cooking through these corners on the opening stages of this lap. It's lap 5 of 25, of course, and it's Hazara, MDJ, Son of Fubar, your top 3, with Tom Goproff and Mauser, your top 5, and X-Gamer just outside the top 5, trying to chase down his teammate for tonight in that Haas car. But Mauser going around Tom Goproff for 4th, or at least trying to. Does he get the job done? Tom Goproff still there on the inside. Both drivers give room. Very good sportsmanship, and Mauser gets the job done. But Tom Goproff might be able to go back on the offensive here, looking underneath the Haas car. It might be a side-by-side battle through turn number 1. They're dead heat. It's 3 wide going into turn number 1. Oh, and Tom Goproff made some contact with, it looked like X-Gamer actually, that Haas car in his inside. Mauser looking on the outside of Tom Goproff, might be able to get the job done. Are they going to split him 3 wide again? For a moment it looked like they were, but that's really not a corner that you can do that in. So Tom Goproff got very lucky there to hang on to that 4th spot as Mauser and X-Gamer thinking better of it and pulling out. But there you saw Mauser actually go very wide off of that corner and picking up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. So that definitely was no question. It was an invalidation.
Yeah, it's very easy to do. If you just go a millimeter over the white line, you instantly get a warning. It's sometimes very frustrating, even if you think you stay within. At the front, I feel like Son of Fubar is a little bit quicker than MDJ. This is exactly what I mean with working together. Because if they're smart, MDJ would just let Son of Fubar pass and then try and let him close down the gap. But he's wanting to get ahead, which might hurt him when it comes to the end result. Yeah, it's interesting to see, because now they're going side by side again, which is costing them even more time to Hazara, which obviously he don't mind with his penalty. But it's certainly not helping Son of Fubar and MDJ to get this victory.
And Son of Fubar trying to do a crossover move actually out of that final corner. Wasn't able to do it, but used the assistance of the DRS to his advantage either way. Meanwhile, Mansell has moved his way up into P6 thanks to some DRS. We saw him fighting for position back there, and he's now trying to give chase to Mauser just ahead of him. The problem is Mansell's sort of stuck in a DRS train. You know, himself, Mauser, maybe even Tom Goproff. Tom Goproff actually looks to more or less be leading this DRS train, 3.4 seconds behind MDJ in third place. So it starts with Tom Goproff, and it seems to end with Train Game Wow or Cartboy somewhere around the 7th to 8th position. So that's really hard. And Timo, you know, as a GP1 driver, I'm sure you've seen it all. You've actually raced in this series last season, then you were promoted to GP1, so you've got plenty of experience under your belt. When you're in a DRS train, there's obviously very, very little that you can do to actually advance your position because you're at the mercy of the aerodynamics. But what little things can you really do to maybe give yourself just a tiny advantage, to give yourself a chance to break that slipstream?
Yeah, there's really not a lot you can do. Go as quick as you possibly can, and hope the people behind you and in front of you make mistakes, so you can gain even more positions. But you really have to hope the people around you will make mistakes, because otherwise it's incredibly hard to either break DRS or get back into the DRS. Especially around this track, if once DRS gets enabled and you're within DRS, you're basically stuck there.
So avoid DRS trains at all costs, especially around the Saudi Arabian circuit, as you actually saw there that Train Game Wow picked up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Of course, Mauser, we're watching him. He already picked up 3 seconds worth of time penalty. So we're starting to actually get time penalties rolling in on that board, which is not necessarily a good thing if you're the driver who picked it up. But Hazara's got 3 seconds, as does Mauser, Train Game Wow, Langfell, and then Senna Martin's down there in P14. So, oh my goodness, and Mauser just hit the wall, and he has got significant wing damage, and by significant, I mean there's no front wing at all. So Mauser's day, not sure if he's going to be retiring from this, but he's definitely going to have a long, painful drive back to the pits in order to get that car fixed.
Yeah, it's really not ideal to drive around with no front wing. He's going to lose a lot of time, including like 5 seconds in the pit stop, of course. And I feel like he might be able to stretch the mediums to the end of the race from here, so that shouldn't be a big issue. But well, he's losing a lot of time.
Well, the good news is it's a weight reduction. The bad news is it's also a significant aero reduction. That's where you get into trouble. As you see MDJ going to the outside of Son of Fubar for P2 once again, and just like you were saying, Timo, they keep swapping those positions.
Yeah, I don't know if it's really helping them, because I know Son of Fubar has a pretty full battery, so he doesn't really have an advantage of just sticking with the DRS, because DRS saving is going to be hard if you've got a full DRS already, and Son of Fubar just got a penalty himself, which also is not ideal. You'll have to pull away for 3 seconds from MTJ. Does he want to finish ahead of him?
Well, you said it yourself that time penalties will likely be coming into play at the end of this race, and that's what we see most of the time anyway. But it's looking like time penalties might play a bigger factor than some other races in the past, because already we're lap 9 of 25, and we have got 5 drivers who have gotten a time penalty. Look at Senna Martins picking up another 3 seconds. So Senna not having a good day as well, even though he finds himself in P9 at the moment.
Yes, Senna Martins having a good race positions-wise, going from last to 9 already. Is a net gain of 9, which is the highest of the grid right now. Plus he also gaining 7 places. But yeah, a lot of people already having to pit or having damage, which is not gonna help their race. Which P10 to P18 already made a pit stop. I've also just noticed Son of Fubar pitting. Guessing he's going to mediums as well. It's the normal strategy around him.
Well, then I guess that answers the question from earlier about how long do you expect the drivers to be going on the soft tires. About 9 to 10 laps at the most. And with Son of Fubar actually calling it a quits after about 8 laps on those tires. MDJ's got 9 laps, as does Train Game Wow and Hazara. There is Hazara, who actually is going slow because we have a virtual safety car.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happened. Oh, Mouse retired. The same place he been wide earlier with no front wing, which is a tricky corner, like we've seen Schumacher crash there already. I believe the Leclerc as well, so it's definitely not an easy corner, a little bit easier in the game than IRL. Yeah, not ideal for his race, DNFing already, and luckily it's only a virtual safety car for Azara, otherwise he would have had this lead thrown away. So it's going to be interesting to see if how long this is. Oh, there goes the virtual safety car already. So Azara, MDJ and Train Game are not getting a free pit up here, which could hurt that race a little bit, because I don't know if Son of Fubar really got an advantage off of that virtual safety car, but if he did, he might just get out of DRS of MDJ.
So Hazara way far ahead, and it looks like there's another yellow flag in Sector 2, and Mansell has retired from the race. So it looks like Mansell is wrecked out. Not sure what's happened there. We'll see if that puts us under a safety car, or if we're going to remain green. We might remain under green flag conditions, as there's only one more car having to pass him, that being Venom Amarillo in the Mercedes. So unfortunately, Mansell coming back today after a long time away from the GP2 series, hoping to get a good finish. He wanted to race, and now he is going to be pulling into the pits. Well, if he could. Anyway, it's more so his day's just done. He completely wrecked out. Otherwise, he could have pulled into the pits. But that's sort of the problem. When your front wheel's off the car, you can't really go too much further.
Yeah, I've noticed Bossy Gaming disconnecting. He's saying this PF5 has shut itself down, so I sadly cannot send him another invite, but hopefully he'll be able to get back into this race, because otherwise he's gonna drop a lot of positions and probably not get any points.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Bossy Gaming, who has really had a lot of issues this season with connectivity. In fact, it all started, I believe, in Bahrain when his cat unplugged the Ethernet cable. So he just completely left the session mid-qualifying. We didn't understand what was happening, and then he told us later that his cat unplugged the Ethernet cable from his console, so he had to boot it back up and get back into the lobby. So I guess today it's not his cat's fault, but it did actually happen, and I thought that was hilarious, because that is just the most cat-like thing to do.
Yeah, meanwhile Son of Fubar at the back of Langfiel and Martin. You'll need to get past.
Oh, and some contact there. Son of Fubar getting into the back of Langfell. Is there wing damage on the McLaren?
I don't think so, otherwise he would have hit it straight away, but he's gonna have to get past quickly, because otherwise he'll just lose loads of time. He does seem to get out quite a long way ahead of MDJ, which might be good for him. The gap is now 1.9 seconds from MDJ to Son of Fubar, so if Son of Fubar can get past quickly, he'll get rid of MDJ for the rest of the race, hopefully.
So we got a three-car battle going on here between Martin Langfeld and Son of Fubar. Son of Fubar looking on the outside of Langfeld side by side, but Son of Fubar can't really go anywhere because Martin is there in the way. Martin and P3 just really trying to hang on. These guys, they started on the medium tires. Martin and Langfeld did. Son of Fubar, he's on a fresh set of medium tires, and it's got to be frustrating for him to be stuck behind these two cars, but he might have just been able to put himself in prime position to get around that Aston Martin. The problem is that the inside of these corners turn into the outside very quickly. It's just a constant track of sweeping corners and going to the left, back to the right, and then back to the left, and then back to the right. And you get a long straightaway, and you get the DRS to help you out, and then it's more of the same in the middle sector, and that's exactly what Son of Fubar is having to deal with. But Langfeld back to 5th, Martin in 4th, and Son of Fubar up to 3rd, and should eventually be pulling away, as it looks like Langfeld and Martin are going to have a side-by-side battle down the front straightaway. That really helps Son of Fubar. That's exactly what he needed. Just ahead of him, Train Game Wow is in the pits, as is Hazara. So does Son of Fubar actually overtake Hazara for the lead? He goes into 2nd, but I don't believe he's going to be overtaking him for the lead. No, he's still 4.8 seconds behind Hazara. That just goes to show how much further ahead he's been able to put that car.
Yeah, I've noticed Manzo joining this party, so I'm not sure if he's here to commentate with us. At least we can ask him now what actually happened to him. It was quite a weird spot to see where he crashed out. I'm guessing he's either lost it back in on the exit or just went straight into the wall on exit and then slid through her.
I lost the back end, and yeah, that's basically what happened. Lost the back end, and then Tom Prof had nowhere to go, and he went right into me. Lost my front wheels. That's basically what happened. So I decided to come and go on YouTube. Why not?
Yeah, happy to see you here now as well. We would have rather seen you finish this race then. Yeah, not everything can go your way. I've experienced that myself in the race. Meanwhile, some of you were 5.2 seconds behind Cesaro, so he hasn't really gained over the pit stop cycle, which, yeah, probably is race over for him unless safety car comes.
So
Bring him
meanwhile,
back into the race.
MDJ going to the outside of Langfeld for P3, gets the job done very quickly, I might add. So MDJ on that fresh set of Dr. Feelgoods is really moving through the pack back into P3. Hazara still leads, of course, and is continuing to pull away from Son of Fubar. It just looks like nobody has anything for Hazara as he goes down into turns 1 and 2. Son of Fubar 5 seconds behind, a very painstakingly long for the McLaren driver, 5 seconds.
So are you able to send an invite to Boss Gaming?
No, I cannot. It says an error hasn't cured.
Okay. It's unfortunate for him then, because I keep getting errors as well. So that might be a race over for him. Yeah, it's really sad for him. It's like I've been there myself, just having internet issues and trying to come back, but not being able to. It's really frustrating.
So Martin in P5, Langfeld in P4. Martin trying to give chase to the Aston Martin driver. Really not a lot of battles going on for position at the moment, at least not in the top half of the field. Let's go back and take a look at Andrew, though. Andrew very quick early on in qualifying, but for whatever reason at that start had an issue and he had to drop back. He's been playing catch-up ever since, and I think this might be the first time that he's found himself this close to the points-paying position, battling here with Smithy in the Ferrari. So we'll see if Andrew's going to be able to utilize the DRS to his advantage. Of course, you see there he's got 11 laps on his medium tires to Smithy's 8, so Smithy a little bit fresher tire wear, probably giving him an advantage here.
I feel with damage. He got into the wall at the final corner, so he's having to pit again, which is, yeah, that's pretty much race over unless there's a safety car to save him. Really unfortunate there. I noticed MDJ got back in the DRS, which is quite impressive. I did not think he had the pace to get back, but obviously he did. So yeah, no, I mean he doesn't have to worry about Son of Fuel now. I'm pretty sure this is basically how the top three, out of the top two at least, is gonna end like if there isn't a safety car or a big crash.
Now, what if there was a safety car, Timo? Tell us, what's going through your mind the second that safety car comes out?
It depends on how late the safety car comes out. If it's like the last 3 laps, I'm just gonna stay out because you don't really have a lot of opportunities to overtake without DRS. But if there's still a couple of laps to go out, I just pit for softs and have the grip advantage on everyone else.
So Hazara still leads over MDJ and Langfeld. There you see Hazara in the Red Bull, and it's really looking like it's not going to be a chance for a safety car. We're already on lap 15 of 25. Here in about 6 laps or so, I'd say, is when it's going to no longer be eligible for a safety car, period. And it seems like we don't really get a lot of those around Saudi Arabia anyway, because I was very surprised that we didn't get one because of Mansell's crash.
Yeah, me. I was right on the racing line. Yeah, I don't know why it didn't come out. Got an overtake going on between who was that? Was up there? Andrew and Senna Martins. Andrew's past Senna Martins for that P9 position. I think Senna still needs to come in though, or does he? Maybe not. It's on 14 lap hold, 15 lap hold, mediums now. So Langfield's actually coming now for soft tyres.
And Langfeld going very, very wide there.
It's just Bossy Gaming and Senna Martins having to pit. Bossy Gaming, of course, pretty much out of this race. It's just his AI driving. I'm guessing Senna Martins is either gonna wait for a safety car and hope one comes out, or you'll just pit either this lap or next lap, because otherwise he won't get the advantage of the soft tire.
A lot of guys with penalties as well. So 4 guys without penalties. So it literally looks like everyone is just going flat out. I'm not really caring about the track limits today, as I was a bit wide, so that must be another warning for him.
Yeah, it's interesting because like you see a lot of people getting penalties, but all of them apart from Senna Martins only have 3 seconds, which means they're all gonna be still equal to each other at the end of the race, which is weird to see. Cause normally, if you see this many penalties, a lot of people will have 3, and a couple of guys will have multiple, which today is not the case.
So, while we're talking about the time penalties, I am watching MDJ, and it seems as though he's able to close the gap a little bit to Hazara, but I think it's quite apparent that he is not going to be making up the 6 seconds necessary to win this race with that time penalty. Now, if Hazara were to pick up an additional time penalty, then I think maybe MDJ would stand a chance. It's a lot more realistic for him to overcome a 3-second gap rather than a 6-second gap. But watching it now, he had it down to 8.9 to Hazara. It's now up to 9.1. So MDJ going the wrong way, at least here at this stage of the race. So and that might also boil down to the fact that Hazara might be better in, say, the first sector, where MDJ is better in the second sector, or et cetera, et cetera. So you also have a lot of those variables coming into consideration, but definitely looking like MDJ is going the wrong way. He was closing the gap briefly, and now he is just lost it.
The Senna Martins race is pretty much over. Lost on track of pretty much people still in contention with 17 seconds of penalties now. So not the race he would have been hoping for, but joining late, starting last, it's going to be hard to get a good result anyway.
Son of Fubar just overtaking Langfeld for that P7 position. Looks like Son of Fubar is looking better on the medium tyres compared to the guys around him on the soft tyres. Son of Fubar P7. That'll be the fastest lap as well.
Yeah, Langfeld making up a lot of ground and getting into the back of Son of Fubar, actually, so some contact there. Let's take a look at that wing on the Aston Martin. I don't see any visible wing damage, so Langfeld getting very lucky there, but that could have been a lot nastier than what it was.
Yeah, he seems to get a little bit of fun this year, but I feel like that's just dirtier, not wing damage. Yeah, he indeed got very lucky there to not get any wing damage.
So we'll go take a look at X Gamer now in P4, closing in on Cartboy for the 3rd position. Cartboy 7 laps on those medium tires, 10 laps for X Gamer. It's lap 18 of 25 as well. So I don't know, maybe we should be placing our bets. Is X Gamer going to be able to overtake Cartboy here, or is Cartboy going to be able to hold him off? Cartboy is one of those drivers. He's not won a race this season, but he has shown some flashes of brilliance, and I think that even Mansell can agree to this, that he seems to be very fast. It's just that he's not been able to put a race together and get that win.
Yeah, I think it's more down to his strategies and his look at the moment, and he's actually going to get the overtake done on Cartboy for that P3. Doesn't look like Cartboy really putting up a fight for that position, so that's X Gamer up to P3 in the podium positions, which is nice to see. Of course, X Gamer did say that he was not attending the rest of the season, but he made a one-off appearance today. But yeah, X Gamer, I think it's more he's just been unlucky this season more than anything. And yeah, I think that's why he gave up on his season. Got 3/4 of the way through, but you know, it's nice to see him back for this one-off.
Martin got damage somewhere because he's in for new front wings. Not sure what happened to him, but I'm pretty sure he either hit a wall somewhere around the lap or a guard. Otherwise, it's quite hard to get front wing damage.
So Mansell, Timo and I were speaking during the qualifying session, and pretty sure that the math is in favor of Tring Game out to where he has officially clinched this championship title, because Odd Ivan is not here today. And X Gamer, however, could still get that second spot from Odd Ivan. So you were talking
Yeah.
about X Gamer and how he sort of quit a few weeks ago, saying that he's not going to be able to race the remainder of the season, only to show up today in Saudi Arabia in the Haas car. So, that would be a nice little rebound for X Gamer to finish off the season in the Haas and still be able to get that second in points.
Yeah, so train game well. He has actually won the championship already. He won it last week in Japan. So he's more focused on the constructors now, which might be the reason why you don't really see him in the top 3 at the moment, because he's probably just going, just staying consistent, trying to finish in the points for the team, of course. I think that's his main concern now, is just finishing points for that constructors fight. And then, X Gamer he's still got a really good chance to finish in the top 3 in the championship. Obviously, finishing 3rd will help that. Depending on the last 2 races, I think he might get it. Depending on the guys around him.
Ironic. Now we have a safety car.
This is gonna be really interesting because Safecar will at least stay out till like lap 22, and I'm pretty sure it'll stay out a lap later because everyone needs to catch up. So that only 2 laps to go. I feel like Hazara might be able to pit now because he's got such a big gap, which he indeed does. I'm guessing he's going to the softs. Mediums won't work for these amount of laps. MTK also in the pits.
You should expect everyone coming in now to go onto the softs, except for Martin, Train Game Well, Venom, King David and Senna. They've already stopped. They're on pretty much fresh softs already, so they don't really need to come in. And probably the AI of Boss of the Game, and he probably won't come in either. Boss of the Game is pretty much out of it. So, but it doesn't help with the guys with penalties. A lot of guys with penalties, so there's going to be a lot of position changes when everyone crosses the line. Finishes the race. Senna Martins with 20 seconds of penalties. I don't know where he's got that from, but 20 seconds for Senna Martins. That's quite a lot.
The stewards.
Well, yes. I mean, Codemaster stewards. Yes.
Yeah, he's been cutting quite a bit. He also sped into the pit lane once.
Yeah, I did see.
I'm guessing you'll come into the pits to at least get one, get 5 seconds removed. But he's got so many corner couple penalties that I don't think it really makes a difference.
I'm surprised he's still out there. I like me personally, at that point, I would just bring it in and retire, even though a wise man who unfortunately was going to be racing today, but is technically out there and technically not, told me never retire the car until it retires itself. Even still, if I had 20 seconds worth of time penalties, I'd just be like, alright, I'll see you later, guys.
Yeah.
The wise man is Bossy Gaming, by the way. He's down there in P15. I'm not sure if you're aware, Mansell, but his AI is actually taking over.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I did know. I did see it did come up saying that he left the session.
And it's unfortunate for
him again.
And it's such an unfortunate circumstance for Bossy Gaming because this season has very much been one to forget. Aside from a few showings in the points, Bossy has really not had that stellar of a season.
It's interesting to see how Alfa Romeo and McLaren will do, because as of now, Alfa Romeo is P9 and P15, I believe, for Bossy Gaming not driving anymore, so I doubt he'll get any points. But only P9, so that would be 2 points, and McLaren getting quite a lot of points over them, which puts them close in the fight for the Constructors' Championship.
Yep. But at this stage of the race, expect Train Game Well to now pick up his pace. That's what he does. At the very beginning of the Grand Prix, he just takes his time, and then that's when he starts to bring all of his pace and amazingness is towards the end of the race. So expect him to be moving up positions. He is on 6 seconds of penalties, but pretty much everyone around him is also on 6 seconds of penalties, so he shouldn't lose too much time or positions at the end of this race. So look out for Train Game Well at the end of the race.
And, you know, drinking, he's in a position to where he can really afford to take these risks.
Hazara, it's such a shame he has a 3-second time penalty, because he was so far in front, he had the race in his back pocket, but now because of this safety car, you'll have to pull 3 seconds on MDJ within like 2 or 3 laps. Pretty it's 3. I'm very confident it'll come in this lap. So only 1 lap of DRS, which could spice up a lot of things in the midfield.
So assuming that the safety car does pull in, we will be riding on board with MDJ. Hazara, of course, will be the control car when that safety car pulls in, and he will be able to decide when we go back green as long as it's before the start-finish line. Of course, we're still waiting on confirmation to see if that safety car does, in fact, pull in, but we imagine it will, considering that all the drivers are lined up, and there is our confirmation. The safety car pulls in this time. We are about to go green for 3 more laps of racing for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. It has been 22 laps so far. It's coming down to this. 3 DNFs, one of which have joined us in the comms booth, Mansell. So we got a 3-man comms booth to watch the finale for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. The tires trying to get warm, the drivers swerving, trying to get any heat in the tires that they can to set themselves up for this 3-lap shootout. Remember, Hazara is that control car. He can go whenever he wants to, and he's going to try to catch MDJ sleeping. MDJ, he has ran a near-perfect race. He may not be the fastest car, and I don't think that that's going to change this time, but we are green, 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 and with no time penalty, he is in prime position to win this race. But he has still got to run 3 very clean laps, and he cannot let Hazara get any further than 3 seconds ahead. Meanwhile, just behind them, Kart Boy side by side with X Gamer, who's trying to bully his way into the 4th position and just barely got the move done after some contact with Kart Boy. Now Son of Fubar trying to go around the outside of Kart Boy, but does he get the job done as there's more contact, and Son of Fubar goes off the track now. So Kart Boy in P5, and now Son of Fubar almost getting back into the rear of Kart Boy. That was incredibly close. So a lot of beating and banging back there for the 5th position.
Fubar looks like he's got damage. He's losing so many positions, and now he's out of the race. He's just hit Train Game well. Train Game Well's done nothing wrong there, and Son of Fubar is now out of the race because of that contact with Train Game Well.
And you were saying that Son of Fubar likely did have some damage there, right?
Yeah, by the looks of it, I'm on board with Train Game Well right now. Since the safety car restart, and it just looked, he just was losing positions. He had no downforce whatsoever, and he just made contact with Train Game Well, and Son of Fubar's gone out of the race because of that contact.
Yeah, Son of Fubar just went straight. He can definitely get some kind of throwing damage. Weird to see him bounce back onto the track like that. Maybe there was another issue on his side. Not sure.
And now X-Gamer trying to overtake Langfell for that 3rd position. But remember, Langfell, he's got the time penalty, so X-Gamer doesn't need to really take a lot of risks here. He just needs to keep Langfell within his sights. But I know what he's thinking. He's thinking more along the lines of winning, and he knows that if he can chase down MDJ for this final 2 laps, then he could be the one in position to take this victory. Hazara, he has ran a perfect race except for the 3-second time penalty, and that's the one thing that's going to be the difference between a 1st place finish and watching someone else stand on the top spot of that podium. But that is assuming that Hazara cannot put 3 seconds between him and MDJ. If anyone can do it in this race, I think it would be Hazara. But even for him, I think that task is just a little bit too significant to undertake. Nonetheless, you know Hazara is trying, while we still see a lot of battling around for position. Here in the 5th spot, we got Andrew, who has made a nice recovery after starting around the 3rd position or so. He had an issue on the 1st lap. He has played catch-up all day long to find himself back in the 5th position. He's got a time penalty, so that's going to come into play at the end of this race, but nonetheless, still a good rebound from the Alpine driver.
Yeah, I've already seen Hazara get 4 warnings total, so in order to still get his win, you'll have to get 2 of them removed, which I doubt will be impossible. Especially seeing him run away all alone at the beginning of the race. So there's no chance of him getting pushed off track or anything like that.
Cesara's final lap as well. He's got to pull a second out of MDJ to get to ever have any chance of winning today as well.
So Langfell and Andrew still battling it out. Hazara now 2.2 seconds ahead of MDJ. It's starting to look like it might be a chance for Hazara to actually win this race. There is battling back for the 5th position, but we have to stay with the race because it's between Hazara and MDJ. MDJ 2.3 seconds behind him on track, but you can see that Hazara has got 3 seconds of time penalties. That's going to come back to bite him. The question is, will he be able to gain 7 more tenths of a second? If he can do that, then he will still be able to win this race despite that time penalty. MDJ, he's going to have to start running a qualifying lap, and he's going to have to find any bit of speed that he can get out of that AlphaTauri if he is going to win this race. Already 2.4 seconds separating him and the leader, and Hazara is in the 2nd sector now, maybe even in the 3rd sector as he's just now entering the 3rd sector. So the 3rd and final sector, and the gap is 2.4 seconds. Remember, Hazara got the pole, and he already was a second into the lead at the end of the 2nd lap. And he has ran a perfect race with the exception of that 3-second time penalty. And it's going to be that 3-second time penalty that loses him the race. He wins on track, but MDJ will cross the line and win the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. X-Gamer, will he overtake Hazara? No, he does not. He gets into 3rd. Cartboy goes into 4th. Smithy with a top 5. Then Andrew in 6th, Langfell in 7th, 8th is String Game Wow with Venom Amarillo in P9 and King David in P10. Martin, Tom Goproff, Bossy Gaming, Santa Martin's rounding out the rest of the field. My goodness, that was a nail-biting last lap, and you got to think just how painstaking was it for MDJ to watch that interval just continue to grow. And how nervous do you think that driver was just trying to stay within 3 seconds?
I've been in that position before. I believe it was the GP1 this season. Like also a late safety car. I was in position to take home at least like podium, but I ended up cutting the track in sector 1, which got me a penalty, and pretty much ended my race for any chance of result.
Yeah, you got to feel for Hazara though. He'd been leading pretty much this whole Grand Prix, and then late safety car just ruins it all for him with that penalty as well. It did not help at all. I think Hazara would not really be pleased with that 3-second penalty, but this is a league race and Formula 1. Anything can happen.
So your official finishing results for the Speed Force Racing GP2 Series Saudi Arabian Grand Prix is going to be MDJ in 1st place despite having to follow Hazara the entire race, and I do mean the entire race. MDJ in 1st, Hazara in 2nd, X-Gamer in 3rd, Cartboy in 4th, Smithy in 5th, 6th is Andrew, Langfell in 7th, 8th is Train Game Wow, Venom Amarillo in 9th, King David in 10th, Martin in 11th, Tom Goproff in 12th, 13th is Bossy Gaming, 14th is Santa Martin, Son of Fubar in 15th, 16th is Ali Mansell in 17th, 18th is Mauser. Hey, you know what, Mansell? There's a guy that raced the race that's got the same name as you.
Really? What, was he racing here? Oh, bloody hell! I somehow finished P17 on comms. Come on.
You did. You know what?
Nice.
That actually might be the first time anything like that's happened, is that someone managed to finish well, technically, sort of, but not actually finish a race and be on comms. I mean, Smithy joined us once after he wrecked out, or he joined me and Oliver last season. So I guess technically Smithy did it before you, but...
Oh, right.
So what you got to do is you got to run a race, you got to DNF, and still have a top 10, which is very hard to do, and then you join us in comms, and then you can be the first driver to finish P10 while doing comms.
Okay. Challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're gonna actually hold you to that. We're starting to get the drivers in. I know MDJ and Hazara is in here. Just gonna see if X-Gamers decides to join as well. Then we will start our interviews, and I'm sure there's gonna be a bit of an emotional interview for the winner in that AlphaTauri, and X-Gamer is now officially in this party. So, guys, please, before we start our interviews, if you could just allow your voices to be shared. If you don't know how to do that, go over to the party settings, click Always Allow, and let me know when you're ready.
Yep, ready.
Yeah, ready as well.
I'm also ready.
All right, so we'll talk to our leader, MDJ in the AlphaTauri. I know that you finished second on track, but you got the win due to time penalties. It's no question that Hazara was incredibly fast today, and that nobody likely would have been able to run him down without that 3-second time penalty. But what was going through your mind on that last lap, knowing that you were so close yet so far from that win, and you just see the time interval gaining just ever so slightly, going from 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, all while going down that final lap?
Yeah, on the last lap, I was thinking that he was gonna drive away 1 second on the last lap, because I mean he is really quick. He can definitely do that if I make a mistake. So in my head I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it all, and I do not care if I might hit a wall, because that was the one chance to win the race, and that worked out. So
how do you really keep your mind calm enough to follow that strategy? Because it's easy to say that you don't care about hitting a wall, but then you actually get into the moment and it's so intense. So just tell us, what's your thought process of actually sticking to that strategy and having confidence in your ability?
I mean, it's kind of already a personality for myself. Like, yeah, I can not give anything about things like hitting a wall, so it's pretty easy to keep my focus on the game and make sure that I don't make mistakes like a lot of people will do under these circumstances. So yeah, I think I was pretty clean.
Well, congratulations on the win. I'm sure that it feels fantastic, and I'm sure that it's been a long time coming for you. But hey, you know what? You can now call yourself a winner. So now we'll go and talk to our second place driver. Hazara, I know that you've got to be disappointed. You really wanted that win. You truly did run a perfect race with the exception of that 3-second time penalty. Tell us how you picked that one up, especially so early on in the race. What was happening?
Yeah, thanks. First of all, congrats to MDJ. Really well done. How I got it, I just was pushing really hard, trying to get out of the DRS, and I got like 2 warnings in one sector. I think it was lap 2 or 3. And then I got one lap 4, I think, and yeah, it's really it wasn't like I was way off the track, but you know, a couple of centimeters is enough. So I got that one, and from there on out, I just knew that that it wasn't in my hands. You know, I was driving really well, was driving away consistently, but I knew if there is a safety car, I'm screwed. So I was just hoping for, you know, the drivers to keep it clean, no safety cars, or that the guys behind would also get a penalty, but it didn't happen. So yeah, it sucks, but you know, at the end of the day, it was in my hands, and I fumbled it in the beginning. So what can you do?
Well, all the same, it was a very good effort from Huazara, and you know what? P2 is definitely nothing to shake a stick at. Good job.
Thank you.
And now we'll talk to X-Gamer P3 in the standings going into today. P3 in the race now puts you P2 in the standings. Now, Train Gamewell obviously has already won the championship, so there is no way that anyone else is going to be able to challenge him. But you can still clinch that P2 if you race for the remaining 2 races. So, how are you feeling about that?
Well, I'm really happy with my race today. I think I did quite well, especially if you know that I didn't practice for it. So It was really difficult going into it. At the start I made a few mistakes, took also some damage in lap 5 or something I think, so that was not ideal, but it's way earlier than everyone else. So I was really happy with that safety car at the end because I know my pace was all, at every lap going slower and slower. But at the standings, to be fair, I'm not a full-time driver anymore. After I left, after Brazil it was. Yeah, it was just enough for me after Brazil, so I'm really happy that I could race today and had some fun.
Well, will we see you in the remaining 2 races?
I don't know. I'm not gonna say yes or no. It depends on if I want to.
Hey, I understand that completely, but all the same, you're P2 in the standings at the moment and P3 in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Congratulations.
Thanks, man.
And with that, that is all the time that we have. But big thank you to Timo for joining today on his debut commentary. And I kind of want to hear from him very briefly. Timo, what did you think of this? Because this was definitely a different view for you.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I'll be happy to try it again, but especially commentating alone, it's definitely not for me.
So commentating alone's not for you, but if you got someone up here with you, it might be all right.
Yeah, exactly.
Alrighty, well, you know what? I definitely can understand that. But with that, that's all the time that we have. So thank you to everyone who watched. Thank you to all the drivers that raced with us. And congratulations to our top 3 finishers. And until next time, good morning, good evening, good day, good night. Wherever you are in the world, have fun and goodbye.